I'm Dave Gray, and this week I learned it doesn't matter how good you are in life, you're just one crazy robot gnome away from being public enemy number one.
Hi, I'm Craig. Film Enjoy Living in England, and even though it technically finished 24 hours ago, but it's not too late for you guys to ruin my birthday. Just so that you know, you can retroactively ruin my birthday tonight. Okay.
I mean, I'm going to sweep, so that's the best possible outcome. We'll all be happy.
Oh, you did. You're not sweeping.
Already
Just say goodbye to that
little
that
sachet
dream.
in your cake, so I thought that ruined it.
A little bit.
I'm Kevin Matthews, a Scottish film fan living in England, and this week, although half the world is freezing and half the world looks to be literally on fire, it's important to let other people remember that climate change totally isn't real and they can argue against it, and they don't want news channels to use the words climate change because that would just be upsetting for them and be an unfair weighted argument of actual science and facts against their nonsense.
You're so woke.
I mean,
I know.
you and the leftist media, man. I mean, you.
I know the conspiracy is all to do with microns and I don't know, jet
They should be
streams.
saying that the Earth is spherical, like some sort of
If they just poured
woke
ivermectin
bitch.
on the fucking fire, it'd be done. But no.
And I'm Tyler Hosley, dildo salesman from Florida, and this is Raiders
And not
Podcast.
Yay!
I'd love if you have business cards just with that.
I don't-
I was like dildo salesman FL.
You got to be pretty woke to sell dildos. I mean, just like the shapes and sizes, you got to be pretty open to things.
People might ask for demonstrations. You've got to be ready to just.
Well, I mean, you got to be okay with
No.
selling somebody a tentacle or one with a knot,
Yeah.
one shaped like
No
a dragon
judgment.
that's the size of a 6-month-old child. And
I don't get the tentacle thing. It's like the old Billy Connolly joke about how he can understand, rubber sex dolls, but the inflatable sheep. It's like if you can't catch your own sheep, then that's really extra desperate.
the inflatable sheep is always a joke. The tentacles are what Reddit tells me are the most popular. So that's all I know.
Wow.
I only know what Reddit tells me.
Those weird monster dildos are actually really popular for some reason.
Yeah, like
They're
crazy
like
popular.
super popular.
Yeah.
I saw in a program the ones that like lay the dissolvable eggs, and it was it was quite traumatizing. Especially when I knew that if Vicky saw the same program, she would buy one of those just to try and get me with one. And by get me, I mean anal penetration and me walking about for a day with an egg dissolving up my bum.
Hey, none of those factory-made sex toys will trouble you anywhere near as much as homemade ones. If you ever Google them, Google homemade sex dolls, you want to have some nightmares.
He's got a good point. That is true. Man, look at how quick it took us to go totally off topic.
I mean, that makes me think Craig has seen the doll I've got with his face plastered on.
I've seen it, and I don't need to see that again, Antonio. I never thought I'd say this, but Tyler, please save us.
Okay. I watched Strip Down, Rise Up on Netflix. It's a documentary about women who heal their trauma through pole dancing. It's really well done, and you all should check it out. I think you guys will dig it. It's a really good documentary.
Oh, I hadn't heard about that. Damn it. I'm going to watch that. What is it called again? Sorry.
Strip Down, Rise Up.
Thank you.
Very good. Very, very good stuff. And besides that, I've just been watching TV. I started watching The Deuce. It's a 70s period piece about hookers and porn. And if there isn't a show more tailor-made for me, then I don't know what the fuck is. I love it. And Maggie Gyllenhaal is she's a goddess. She's great in the show. And that's me.
I think I forgot to mention last week that I watched the Order. Did I mention that? I might have mentioned that.
No,
I'm
you
I'm
got so into Wallace and Gromit, you didn't.
That,
You know.
that is true. I watched The Order, and it's really good. And I mention it because I think, I think it's something that has the very strange 4-quadrant appeal that works for all of us. A bit of something for everyone. It's, oh God, I forget his name. Justin Kurzweil. What is he?
Kurtzel, yeah.
Yeah.
Snowtown and
Yes.
Nitram.
So I've still not watched Nitram yet. I need to work up the courage to watch that. Obviously,
Very good.
Snowtown's a bleak one. The Order's it's really good. So Jude Law is in there, Nicholas Holt, and now I keep is the actor Ty Sheridan, sort of young lad.
Yes.
There is an
I
actor,
think, yeah.
Ty Sheridan.
Because I
Yep.
keep. And who's the guy that did all the Yellowstone stuff?
That's
Taylor Sheridan. Taylor
Right.
Sheridan.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. I always worry that I'll say the wrong name. So I think Ty Sheridan's in here. Anyway, The Order is basically a kind of crime thriller where the criminals are also really pushing an agenda of white supremacy, and it's following that. Jude Law is on the case with Ty Sheridan, and there's a lot of stuff going on that is affecting them through their lives. It's just really good. If I tried to describe it like kind of beat by beat, it would sound like a very familiar thing, and in many ways it is. But it does tie things right to the here and now with the text that I think they go from, and I'm sure Dave would probably remember off the top of his head, but there's some specific thing that these people read is almost a guidebook. It's been mentioned numerous times. It was these people were involved in the shooting of that disc jockey that I believe was what talk radio was about and stuff years ago. It's all tied with that as well. Does any of that make sense to you, Dave?
I'm thinking I'm sorry. The gears are going really slow today. I'm very
sorry,
tired.
I thought I'd cut off.
No, that's the Ellen Green, Eric Bogosian, Oliver Stone flick, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
And Mark Maron plays that character in this. Basically, just occasionally you hear his voice, and as I say, there's a specific text that these people were using as a kind of playbook that seems to keep coming up with worrying frequency. So it's really good.
Yeah.
Anyway, it ties.
I know it. I'm totally brain farting on what the.
That's
book
right.
is.
I should have remembered it as well. I just thought you might have known it off the top of your head.
It's gonna pop into my it'll pop into my head before.
Yeah, you'll shout at me in about 10 minutes while I'm on something else.
Yes, the Turner Diaries, because it's The Order. They're the white supremacist group, The Order. I knew it pop into my head. Yeah, I know that one.
Yeah, and yeah, that is still to this day that is still kind of viewed by a lot of those people as something to kind of words to live by, and a plan to go with. It's horrible. So anyway, guys, to all of you, I think you would find a lot to enjoy in The Order. It's really, really well made, just really good stuff. I watched Mind, Body, Spirit on Shudder. I don't know if any of you have watched that yet.
No, I've just watched the trailer today. It looks interesting.
Yeah, I liked it. It is kind of generally found footage style, or more correctly, it would be what do you call that stuff like Unfriended and that? Is it screen horror, on-screen horror?
I mean, I'd still call it found footage.
Yeah, but they do have bits that cut in with ads for other influencers and stuff. So it uses the style, but also it's not setting itself up with any text or anything that says, this footage was found blah, 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 and we need to slavishly stick to this style. So it's giving itself the freedom to move around slightly, which it does very occasionally. And I didn't mind that because it's not purporting to be, no, this is just like what we found this minute and you're seeing it. It's basically about a young woman who wants to be an online influencer yoga instructor person. She's Anya, played by Sarah J. Bartholomew, and Bartholomew's really good. She's kind of desperate to get numbers up from basically zero. So it's all about putting the smile on, putting the positive messages out there. And then she finds a book left by her estranged grandmother somewhere. So that's not going to be dodgy at all. And she thinks that will help her, and it will help convey a different message that will win her a bigger following. It's just like it's really well done. Everything feels quite realistic in terms of that influencer presentation and the the affirmations and the way it is all put together when the cameras are off before the cameras just go on. And I really liked it. I can see why many people might end up watching it and think it's a lot of rubbish and turn it off. There aren't too many actual scares or horror movie moments, but there are a few, and when they're done, I think they're really well done. But I really like them. I watched Emilia Perez at last, and this was always lined up for me to watch for this weekend. So the fact that I won at the Globes was just coincidental. And I mean, I don't like it as much as the people who voted at the Golden Globes liked it. I've just written a full review for my blog ready for tomorrow. So all I will say is that the main point I made about it is that in a way, it feels like progress that a film with that central character, like a trans woman at the heart of it, can, doesn't have to be any kind of modern classic or super sharp or super smart. Like how we've had the conversation many times about how, women are still struggling to make progress in Hollywood, but they don't get the second and third chances that mediocre white guys get if they fail. Then I think something like Emilia Perez, if there are more movies like this that aren't great, then hopefully that just means that people can get representation in movies that don't always have to be all about, say, the one message or all about being the best movie of the year just so it gets a shot to
It's Hollywood.
hang around.
It's
I know,
only if they're played by Jared Leto.
But well,
Poorly played by Jared
that's
Leto.
a whole different beast. But that is the one positive from it. I did like it. I didn't hate it, but it didn't get the hallowed Kevin 7 score. I'm afraid I cannot send them their Kevin 7 award. I watched My Old Ass, which was kind of decent, a little bit light. A young woman sees her older self played by Aubrey Plaza, and is getting advice and some life lessons on the way.
Avoid Megalopolis. Don't
Yeah.
star in Megalopolis.
That really should have been the advice. So it was a good palate cleanser for Plaza's filmography after Megalopolis. And last but not least, but I probably have more complicated thoughts about it than Tyler will, I watched Bird. Tyler, did you watch Bird yet? I can't recall.
I did. I loved Bird dearly.
Right. I watched it and I didn't love it. I didn't dislike it. I think the cast is superb. Like that, the young girl, Nikika Adams, who plays Bailey, is brilliant. I believe this is her first film. Barry Keoghan is as good as ever, and Franz Rogowski, who plays Bird, he's been in quite a few films already. He's always really good in general. I just think the cast is great, but I don't know. It's forced me to think more and more about what Arnold is sort of wanting to say and what her motivation is, because there's some very jarring moments here in terms of the characters that she shows you and the lives they lead, and then the way they behave that, just for me, didn't feel in line with their circumstances or the lives were being told they lead anyway. I didn't mind a certain moment that may have turned others off in the third act. I was more turned off already by just certain little moments, as I had characters acting in ways that I didn't think were in line with how she was showing us they were supposed to be living their lives. So I'm still getting my head around my full thoughts on it, but a lot of it is being lifted up by the pretty flawless work of that cast. But I knew Tyler would still love it. I think he's loved everything that Arnold's done. I tend to like her shorts more. She's never made a film better than Red Road from what I've seen so far, although American Honey is still the only one I've yet to watch.
Oh, you haven't seen that yet?
I have not, because I was waiting for the inevitable time when you say, and next week my pick is American Honey.
The only reason I haven't picked that yet because it is 3 hours, and I know that's all.
You don't care about time, Tyler. You've been edging me for fucking years, and I know it's coming at some point. So
I haven't
I've
picked a
just
3 hour
never
movie in
watched
a
it.
while, though. I don't think.
No, I'm only kidding. But I didn't realise the runtime. I just thought at some point you would. And now it'll probably happen the week after I watch it, you son of a bitch.
Probably.
And that was me.
What did I watch? Well, in my house, there's me, there's James, there's Stephanie, and we all get at least one day each with the remote for the big telly downstairs. But you know, so I can watch whatever I want, but you can't force anyone else to watch. You can't force everyone else to sit downstairs with you and watch the films you want to watch. The only time that is possible is on your birthday, which was yesterday, and I got to force Stephanie and James to come downstairs and watch some movies which they might not have normally chosen. I started with Thelma, which is the action comedy from this year, not the Norwegian horror film from a few years back, and that was delightful. That works for me on like a bunch of levels. It's just a really good pastiche of like horror movies, action movies. Like it plays out like a Mission Impossible movie. Like it has its own versions of chases, it has its own versions of suspense scenes and MacGuffins and all of that stuff. And it's really, really smart, really well done. It's got some really interesting things to say about aging and how there's stuff you can do. There are mistakes you can make, when you're 20 or 30 or 40, and it's just you're a scatterbrain or you've forgotten, but they're things that are seen as some sort of like immediately seen as some sort of mental problem when you're older, and really you're allowed to be a bit forgetful or whatever, because you have been your whole life, and it really says something about the way we approach aging and how we treat the elderly. It does that in a really smart way, and it's adorable. It's just a very adorable film, which seems kind of like against what I was just saying. It seems a bit like what's the word? It seems like I'm pinching their cheeks a little bit, and not being very respectful. But June Squibb just is adorable, and Richard Roundtree is also super adorable. I just wanted to squeeze them both, and it's just such it's just a fun film, and just super satisfying all the way through, and very heartfelt. And yeah, I really, really like that one a lot. Dave liked that one, didn't you?
I did. Yeah. I love the chase through the nursing home on the scooters.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I like it when she's making her way through the store to get to the guys at the back, and it's played out like she's dodging all of these, incredible traps, or and really she's just tottering through like an old deer. It's very good, and it was nice. It's just nice to see June Squibb centre stage and see Richard Roundtree, with a really good last role. Was it his last role?
It was. I think he passed away before it released, like right before.
No, that's a shame. But they're both fantastic. He's great.
It's-
Ben,
okay.
Pardon?
I was
Sorry?
just going to say it's one of those films that I keep hearing good things about and just haven't made time for yet.
We
And
both
it sounds
gushed.
like I'd love it.
Craig and I both gushed about it.
I
Yeah, I
know.
gushed about the
Give
trailer as
Vicky
soon as
a
it came out. I was
lozenge and just turn it on when you're done. When we're done, just say suck on this,
like-
and
sorry?
not mean little Kevin for once, and just start the movie.
Oh my god! I hope this isn't the first episode she chooses to ever listen to. So just say to Vicky, just suck on this, and then when you're done, watch.
I say give her a lozenge. I was clear. Mostly.
Ooh. After film, I went with a classic, or I'd say 98% of a classic, and it's like 98% of it is just perfect classic status. So I just have a couple of issues. That film was Charles Lawton's. It's Charles Lawton's Night of the Hunter, which is a fantastic fucking movie. I've seen it before about 10, 15 years ago. Only once before. I thought I'd give it another go, and just enjoy my fancy Blu-ray of it, and it is so fucking good. Like, one of my favorite villains in the history of cinema, just ever. I just cannot believe how good Robert Mitchum is in that film. He's so creepy. He's got there's so many little facets to his performance. There's a bit where some kids escape on a boat, and it's the first time he ever lets it. The first time anyone gets the better of him, and the first time he actually kind of loses his composure, and it's such a beautiful bit of acting. I absolutely love his performance. The child performances are great. The staging and the lighting are absolutely phenomenal. There are just I haven't seen it, but I've seen a little bit of it. I shouldn't even compare them, but the Life Aquatic, the set of the submarine.
Yeah, the ship set.
Yeah, which looks fantastic.
Yeah.
There are sets kind of like that in Night of the Hunter, where they're just showing huge sections of a house, just beautifully lit, and honestly, it's so incredibly made, and I think the story unfolds absolutely beautifully. Like 98% of it, I'm like, yeah, this is a 10 out of 10 fucking mega classic, and I just the ending doesn't work for me, and I get exactly what they're going for, and I get it is probably a smarter and more interesting ending than the one that I want, but it's not satisfying, and maybe it's kind of the point of it is that we shouldn't be getting something satisfying, and yet
Well, that's
that
okay.
isn't satisfying.
I mean, maybe Scott Derrickson will fix it with his remake.
Ugh.
Yeah.
I cannot imagine wanting to take over Robert Mitchum. I mean, you'd have to be insane. Well, Richard Chamberlain already did, and no one was like singing his praises over that one. That was a little TV movie, but you just leave that role well alone. I would have said then again, I would have said leave Max Cady alone, and De Niro was awesome. So I don't know.
Yeah, but De Niro was awesome and directed by Scorsese. This is Scott Derrickson doing it.
Yeah. Oh, Scott Derrickson. Ugh.
So it's gonna be Ethan Hawke really phoning it in and chewing the scenery.
I mean, if you could get Ethan Hawke in that role, I wouldn't mind seeing that. That would be the best. That would be the most interesting. So I just really like Ethan Hawke, and I really like his approach to his work and his art. So
looks at
I'd
you
be
as somebody
interested to
that's
see what
seen
he
Black
did with
Phone.
God, I hate that film. But I never seem to hate Ethan Hawke. I think he does his best even when the part is absolute drivel.
I don't think we saw the same movie.
I hated it. I hated it very, very, very deeply. It's just the stupidest serial killer in the history of film. He's got children locked in his basement, and when his brother turns up and says, "Hey, I need a place to stay," he's like, "Yeah, fine. I've got nothing going on apart from the child in my basement." Just an absolute plum of a man. I'm just really surprised that Ethan Hawke seems to like Scott for some reason. So some people just like to work with the people they like on a personal level, and I don't. I guess it's like Willem Dafoe. If he likes you on a personal level, he'll do your film even if it's a pile of shit. There's some people like that. One more film. Yeah, I watched Quentin. Here we go. Dupieux. It's Quentin Dupieux's Smoking Causes Coughing, which is just
Yay!
It's bananas. I didn't know what was going on half the time. It's half superhero parody, half horror anthology. I have never had. I enjoyed it overall, but I've never had a film like lose me and then pull me back in with like a really funny or clever moment, and then lose me again. And it's like less than 80 minutes. It took me to places of extreme like tedium because it was just being so wanky, and then I'm laughing at something really juvenile or really smart. It's all over the place, but it's definitely worth watching because it is very much one of a kind. I think that's the thing with Dupieux's stuff. They're always too short to they're never going to stick around too long, and you can deal with some of their shortcomings because they're short and they've got fun ideas and usually got a few big laughs. It's not my favorite of his. I think my favorite of his is shit. Who has seen? He made a film about a house that has a ladder, which turns out to be a weird time portal.
I've seen that one, and I also can't remember what it's called, but it was very good.
And it's got a robot penis in it, and it's very funny and it's very smart, very interesting film.
He's done.
Just nothing.
Did you see Deerskin?
Yeah, I like Deerskin as well.
Yeah, he did that. That was really good. And I'm still a big fan of Rubber.
I have not seen Rubber yet.
I mean, I think it's great.
I think this guy must just have a sugar daddy or something because he has these ideas that I don't know why anyone is funding them because they are fun films like that. They are getting funded, but it's just like, yeah, I was gonna make a film about this time travel house and the guy with a robot penis. And
Is the
someone's
house
just
one
okay, friend.
Isn't that incredible but true?
Incredible but true. Yeah.
He made that at the same time as Smoking Causes Coughing. So.
He is multitasker.
Yeah, I think one is like the ideas they couldn't fit in the other.
He fits a lot of ideas into one film. I mean, Smoking Causes Coughing especially, it's just 50 different ideas crammed into like 77 minutes. It's a lot. There's a weird kind of like there's these superheroes and their boss is like this weird puppet of a rat that's constantly drooling green slime and all the ladies are obsessed with it's a really fucking strange film, but it's fun. I like his stuff. Yeah, that's me for the week.
I had a pretty short week. I had to watch 2 movies in a kaiju franchise that I'm not going to discuss here because I'm going to talk about it with AC later this week. So I can't talk about it now, but be warned. They're movies Kevin watched recently. About a turtle.
Turtle power.
Besides that, I watched the new Wallace and Gromit on Netflix. It's cute. I enjoyed it. It's not as good as Curse of the Were-Rabbit, but what is, because that's stop motion perfection. And I watched a 2010 Belgian film called Vampires, which, if you need to see a movie that probably inspired What We Do in Shadows, this is it. And you can watch that, and that's fine. It's just kind of there. It shoots at too many targets. It doesn't really land most of them. There's no real conflict or story. The vampires are idiots, and not in like a fun way, but in a, oh, you really didn't think this out way. And when there is finally something that happened, it's the only it flies in the face of the only thing they tell us about vampire society. So, it's fine. I wouldn't give it a 7 on the thermometer.
Oh, neither did I.
I mean, I wouldn't give it a 5 on the thermometer.
I gave it a 6.
I think I gave it 2 out of 5 on Letterboxd. I'm not big on like, ratings like that, but I just want to drive home that I don't think people should watch it. It's not very good. Just watch What We Do in Shadows, which is a fun franchise all over.
You've got to stop passing around that thermometer, or at least
The thermometer is
wipe,
great.
Wipe it down.
Just because it gives us
Thoroughly
some
wipe it
communicable diseases. I mean, just because we all have syphilis from it, that doesn't mean it needs to be bathed, Craig. That will ruin its luster.
I guess.
And that was it. I mean, besides that, I watched some weird Korean show called When the Phone Rings, which I don't recommend because it sucked. But, other people I was around were like obsessing with it. But, it's okay to each their own, right? Doesn't matter if it makes me cry.
That's rarely your attitude, Dave. But
that is always my attitude. What are you talking about? I watch movies with Tyler every week. If that was not my attitude, one of us would not be here, and it would be me. I would be so far gone.
I mean, I've heard you about you like camps for people who like certain films. Camps you put them in, but
that's not true. Not films. I mean, like other things, sure, but not films. Maybe music, but that's totally different. Some people just need to be re-educated, Craig. Duh. This week, we watched the 2017 Japanese animated romantic film Night is Short, Walk On Girl, and the 1994 coming-of-age film Natsu no Niwa, The Friends. Eeny, meeny, miny. Kevin, would you like to pick a movie and tell us about it?
Well, I'm going to go for Craig's pick, which was Friends from 1994, or as it's called on IMDb, Natsu no Niwa, The Friends. Because if you look up Friends 1994, you get an awful lot of standard white American sitcom Friends stuff coming up. So I watched this, Craig, and I've got to say now, it's no reflection on the film. I don't know how much I have to say about this because I couldn't. I looked up the cast. I was like, I can't keep track of who's who because they were very much, to me, moving around as a group of friends. So I was viewing them as a group, and then there's the old man. Anyway, the plot is 3 young boys become friends. They are friends, or they grow closer as friends, and they are investigating the garden of an old man. They want to have a nose around. They meet the old man, and then they start to continue investigating him and develop a kind of ongoing relationship, bond with him, and they want to sort of find out more about him and his past, and there are connecting strands that come together in, I'm going to say, a satisfying way. I'm not familiar with director Shinji Sômai. I know that you also really enjoyed, was it Typhoon Club you watched recently, Craig?
Yeah.
I looked through his filmography and there's some interesting titles, but I've not seen any of them yet, so this was the first one. I'm also not familiar with the writers, Kazumi Yumoto and Yozo Tanaka. I think I've seen at least one other film from Tanaka when I looked up his filmography, but certainly nothing that made me overly familiar with the names. And I'm not familiar off the top of my head with the people in this, although I feel like I should be familiar with it's Rentaro Mikuni who plays the old man. Is that right?
Yeah.
Like my notes are really vague because I didn't, like, the kids were all just the kids to me. I was like, I've got the names, but they're all the kids. So
You could have gone with the nicknames that he gives them all. We've got glasses, sumo,
Because they don't have
and bones.
personalities.
yeah.
But no, Rintaro Mikuni, he was in Harakiri and Vengeance is Mine. We covered one of those, didn't we? Do Vengeance is Mine a while ago?
We did.
But possibly.
I know
So,
Harakiri's on multiple lists, but
I bowed to your knowledge for that because I couldn't remember. But I thought I was more likely to have seen him in something already anyway, and he's good. All the cast are good here, and like this is a film that for me, and I don't mean this as an insult, it kind of all worked best at the very end. And I'm not jokingly saying, oh, thank God that was over. I just meant the end really sort of highlighted or underlined that feeling of as kids and with your friends, you've made something into an adventure. You've had that collective experience, and at some point it finishes because normal life crashes back into the way, or you just you've come to the end of that particular chapter, and then you're going about the long grass kicking stones around or whatever, wondering like what's next, and it all feels really boring until something else grabs your attention. Now whether that ends up being like sports or school stuff or just some other story that you make up in your head to then connect with our people. That's what the end of the Friends sort of gave to me, and a feeling. And because of that, I then realised that was the whole thing for me. That was what it was playing out. It's not. I wouldn't say it's particularly deep, really, even though it does go into some themes that people might think have a bit more substance to them. I think of it more as a snapshot. I think it's a little bit sort of disposable and light in certain ways, but no less enjoyable or no less worthwhile for that, because like it was really bittersweet by the end. By the time the end credits rolled, and I was left with that feeling, and it made me think of all the cliches you see online and folk always talk crap when they're like, oh, when I was young, we came in when the streetlights came on and we weren't stuck on the computer, we weren't doing it. But it's crap. But everything that goes through every generation is just these little adventures. If you're with a group of friends and you're out and about with nothing else to do, at some point you will make up your own little adventure, and something truthful might come out of that, and one string might lead you on a certain journey for a while. But as I say, you don't step back and think of it in that moment, but it ends at some point because you've made that little adventure for yourself, whether other people have got involved or not. That's just your little thing. So I was left with that feeling. I really like that, because there aren't many other films I've watched that really hone in on that in a way that felt quite nice and naturally done, and didn't have anything detracting from that core of it. Because I know there's other stuff here, but it does do enough to just keep the focus on the friends, and then starting their journey and then ending at a certain point is really effective. I thought it was really like pleasant and enjoyable for that. So I end up like really liking it, but more because of how it left me feeling by the end, and then already rethinking about what I just watched, and ironically, how maybe I just took it all in more as it had ended. That's me.
I kind of agree for the most part. It's okay. Yeah, the best part is the last act. Everything that comes before is just kind of there. I don't really feel a connection between the old man and the boys outside of just, normal movie stuff. The boys don't really have much character or individuality outside of their physical looks. One has a dad issue, which is interesting, but never really gets into when it should. The old man is a war criminal, and that's just kind of glossed over. And in the last minute, and that's when it gets interesting, is when that stuff is all introduced. But all the interesting stuff is at the end, and then it's done. It just feels like I get it. The director watched Shunji Iwa's Fireworks. Should we see it from the side or the bottom the year before, and decided to copy it, but at double the length. It's fine, but there's so many coming of age movies that do all these things better. There's nothing wrong with it. The cast does a really good job. Rintaro Mikuni is solid. Naho Toda is their teacher. She's adorable. She's still working fairly regularly. She's just like 2 years ago, and this is kind of crazy now that I think about it. Just played a high school student in a show on Netflix. Or no, she was the teacher on the show in Netflix. Or maybe a mother. She's in there. The cast is good. The woman that plays the older woman she was in a ton of stuff also. I just don't know if it's anything that like we've seen. It's nothing we've covered, so I'm not gonna assume anybody's seen any of them, because I haven't seen most of them except Children of Nagasaki, which was like 10 years before this. It's decent. It is a solid coming of age flick. I don't really feel much one way or the other about it. We've seen this before, and there's nothing wrong with that. It does everything fine, but I just don't have much to say is all.
I actually thought this was excellent. It's very charming, and it's also really bittersweet and heartwarming in a way it handles its themes. There's a very childlike innocence with its tone in the way it handles its somewhat heavier themes like death. And death is actually a very prevalent topic in this, which surprised me. With kids, it's more of like a curiosity while still kind of grasping the topic of it. And for me, it's portrayed really well here. The script never makes it feel like it's ever trying to emotionally manipulate you either, which I really liked. It all feels natural and real. I thought the cast was great. Some of these kids give some of the best child performances I've seen in a good while. They're excellent. And the old man is really good too. It's beautifully shot. It has this gorgeous glowing summertime cinematography, has a really good somber pace, slow but always engaging for me. The good slow. I actually, after this was over, I checked out the director's filmography, and because I thought it was the only movie I've actually seen from him, and I was totally wrong. I have seen Love Hotel, which came out in 1985. That was excellent as well. Very different from this movie, but it's really good. If you guys haven't seen Love Hotel, check it out. Really good stuff. But yeah, I really, really enjoyed Friends, Craig. I thought it was wonderful. So yeah, solid pick.
Oh, good. Yeah, I first saw this 2 weeks ago. It was suggested by James, who is my stepson. And also, he's my stepson, but I call him my Capri Sun because once I gave him my last Capri Sun from a multi-pack of Capri Sun soft drinks. So he loves that. He loves to be called my Capri Sun. And this one really worked for me. Kind of, without being too sappy, this film really moved me to the degree that I needed to pick it. I wanted to share it with my friends, which is you guys. So I'm glad none of you hated it. I'm glad this little offering of love and friendship wasn't urinated on by anyone. I come to things from weird angles sometimes, I know, but for me this has a kind of the monkey's paw, or anything with any story where people get wishes and there's an ironic comeuppance. It kind of gave me that vibe, but like a positive one, because it's about these kids and they want to grasp death, they want to investigate it and kind of work it out, but it's not. It's that young boy combination of curiosity and just being a bit gross, because they don't want to know much about death beyond just finding a corpse and poking it with a stick to see if anything kind of oozes out. That's about as far as they've considered it. They haven't considered any of the real world ramifications. So it's like the universe gives them a crash course in like the most significant aspect of death, which is loss, and of course all the positive stuff that kind of makes up the largest portion of loss. You lose some, and the largest portion of it is the good stuff that leads to that moment. The experiences you share and the parts of life you cultivate together, like literally here. Lessons learned, lessons taught, truth, openness, honesty. It's all kind of crammed into this like microcosm of, the more impactful relationships these kids will find and, form later on in life, which I can see some people seeing it as kind of cheap dramatically. It's like a sort of like pre-packaged coming of age experience. But I kind of looked at it more as like just like a really kind of beautiful, melancholic, a cosmic lesson for these children, and it really worked for me. I love the performances. I think Ratano Makuni is great. Just real warmth, just emanating from that character. But there's always, you find out why towards the end. But there's warmth, but there's this kind of ache of regret that's just always just under the surface. I think the boys are all terrific. They're just kind of spirited and naturalistic, really naturalistic, which I enjoyed. But I particularly liked Yasutuka O, who never appeared in another film. He's the one with the glasses. I thought he was really strong. I think second time watching it, there's a slightly darker reading, I think, because I think his character is kind of subconsciously considering suicide at the start of the film. He's got shit going on with his dad. He's walking across that bridge by the motorway, which he said he was walking across the day before. I think he's got this fascination with death, which kind of kickstarts the plot of the film. And I just think it's really well made as well, like deceptively well made. It's simple but really effective. Like I've seen equally good like portraits of like a hazy summer day, but this is the best. This is the best I've seen someone invoke a memory of childhood summer, to film something like a memory from your childhood so strongly. It really got to me. I thought the cinematography was great, the editing, the sound design is really good, and the score. No one mentioned the score. I was surprised by he's a Brazilian guitarist stroke composer called Sergio Assad. I think his score is absolutely beautiful. I really like to, just get a copy of that outside the film, because I think it's very it just really serves the tone of the film, and and the time and the place, but everything does. Like I said, cinematography, editing, sound design, it all serves the story so well. It's perfectly put together. Like, it is not a complex film. I'll admit that. Like, it's kind of like The Karate Kid, except there are 3 kids. There is no karate, and Mr. Miyagi did war crimes. But, not quite. But I really liked it. And you know what? What made me like it more was watching it after Megalopolis. Because it was interesting to watch it after that film.
You like anything more after Megalopolis. Let's be fair.
Yeah. But I found this was the opposite of Megalopolis, because that film was old, stale brain farts, kind of, and Coppola failing to like translate them into something grand. You're taking nothing and trying to make something grand. Whereas The Friends, it deals with a big universal idea that we all have to deal with at some point, and presents it in a very gentle, accessible, and unpretentious way, which is the best way to speak to people. It's the best way to start a conversation about difficult subjects. So, yeah, this film spoke to me. I really I really loved it. It moved me a lot, and I'd even go so far to say this is my fave movie about teenagers who go looking for a corpse ever. So yeah, I liked it a lot more than I think I liked it a lot more than Dave and Kevin, probably maybe even a bit more than Tyler, because I really really loved it. But I'm glad you all got something from it.
Is that me doing your pick, Dave?
Oh, please.
All right, so Dave's pick is about a young girl who embarks on an insanely long night of partying where she interacts with an increasingly eccentric cast of characters. Okay, so this is going to sound kind of negative, but there's actually a lot that I liked about this too. So my opinion may sound kind of like bipolarish at times. I think the animation is fantastic. It's gorgeous to look at visually. It's super exaggerated and bright, fucking just lovely on the eyes. It's simple animation, but I love how overly exaggerated all the movements were. It was really pretty to look at. Soundtrack is great too, and I like the story. I really like these movies that are like centered around like one night where our lead character just meets crazier characters just ever throughout the whole night. I love shit like that. And I think it does it really well here. But as I say with every other animated movie we watch on this show, I have zero connection to animated characters on screen. I have no emotional connection to them at all. So it always leaves me with this weird, numbing experience of, yeah, I really like the stuff I'm seeing on screen, but I feel nothing. And I keep wishing the story was live action because I would love this lead character to be real. And I would love her so much if she was an actual human being on screen. But she's not. She's animated. And I can't, that won't leave my mind, if that makes any sense. I know it's a weird complaint, but it's just something that I have with animated movies. But this is truly the perfect example of a weird little comedy I would love if it was live action. So where it stands now, yeah, I enjoyed it. I didn't hate it at all. Like, I actually enjoyed it. I was entertained while it was on screen. I just didn't love it. There's a lot to like here. The characters are great. The voice acting is top notch. But like I said, it just falls into that weird little category for me of animated movies that I really appreciate, but I don't love. But not terrible.
I have to disagree slightly with Tyler, and that's bizarrely, I didn't really like a lot of the animation here. Like, for a lot of the standard style of it, didn't really work for me. But then I did like when it went quite. There were moments that were almost collage, and it would sort of have scenes smash into one or a couple of different styles. So I liked that, and the rest of the animation allowed for that to be an easier move. It's like, I don't know. This is a film where I started to really get into it through the first half, and then I started to dip out of it in the second half. Like, I wasn't enjoying the second half as much, and by the time it got to the finale, I was like, just end. There's nothing really else that you're giving me now that feels as entertaining or rewarding as the first half. Like the opening sequence where you're meeting characters it's fast, it's fun, it's throwing you right into things. I was laughing a lot at that montage of the guy trying to meet our lead girl and just keep going, coincidence, like that all the time. I thought that worked really well. I liked the fact that you see our main character, fight back at some sleazebag and then have a real talent for drinking lots and lots and being able to handle that and drink others under the table. I liked just some of the other random scenes that had. There are some scenes that have characters partying and dancing and drinking that feel very much like a big night out. I don't want to sound like some annoying TikToker, but there's a connective strand this week with both films really, I think, being what you call vibe films. But I think Craig's Choice really, for me, really got that tone perfect, that feeling of, say, a childhood summer where you have that time on whatever investigation you're going on. And this, The Night is Short, Walk On Girl, has moments that really do feel like, oh, you've stayed out a bit later, and now it's going to be a big night out. And you've suddenly made lots of new friends. Some of them are just looking on impressed while you can still drink others under the table. You're all doing silly dances together, and you'll go wherever the party takes you. Like, it really nails that. The other stuff, by the time it gets to the, it's quite early on when it's getting to the quest for a book. There's the stuff continuing with the sleaze bag. There's the guy who is lovesick over our lead character. It's okay, but it's less satisfying, less enjoyable than the main strand when our heroine's there. And then towards the end, I say it just feels quite meandering at that point. It's almost like you're already getting the hangover after the big night out, and it's just not in a way that matches the energy or the style of the rest of the film. For me, there was a build up, but that peaked a bit too soon, and then it was just going, just downhill from there. Not downhill far, but quite a bit below the peaks of the, I would say, that first third really, but the first half was the best. So I did enjoy it, but I don't think the art was that great, apart from when it was putting the different styles around and just doing whatever it wanted to do for the sake of a short sequence or an interruption to the main narrative, which I did like. But it was definitely lively and fun for quite a few main sequences. So I still enjoyed it, Dave. But I haven't read the book it's based on.
I thought this was pretty delightful. It's pretty delightful and adorable. Those were my only two notes for like the first half of the film. That's all I'd written. I started to panic after that. I thought, oh my God, I'm not taking any fucking notes about this film. I just put it delightful and adorable. But like the first half was so delightful and adorable that's just what I got from it. And and I enjoyed it. Like, it's fun to watch something so optimistic and to have, like, to follow a protagonist who's just so, again, delightful. A protagonist you would, well, not die for, but I don't know, maybe like get acid reflux for. Like, you really want good things for this character. It's really, I can't remember the last time I've seen something so like joyously optimistic, and I enjoyed that. It's a very adorable character on a delightful mission, or a series of delightful missions, and there are some fun twists of fate thrown in a way, and I like the subplots as well. Some of the ones that focus on other characters are really fun. Like, I would watch the crackpot of Monte Cristo from beginning to end. Like, I was really rooting for Don Underwear. I really liked that subplot. I enjoyed the whole thing, apart from a couple of little dips, but it's still a Craig 7 for me, and there's a few different reasons. Partly, only a small part, but partly the male protagonist, because there is just a little bit too much overlap between the big romantic gestures in the film and like a bit of desperate stalking. He's a bit of a stalker. He's just a bit of a stalker and a creep. Like, he's obviously a decent guy. You can tell, but if this girl knew the lengths he had gone to to get a date with her in this film. I'm not quite sure she'd see it as romantic. She might be a little icked out. I'm not terribly fond of stories that deal with like fate, destiny, karma. Just I have a weird relationship with those kinds of stories, so they're not my favorite. But I think my issue with it mostly, and it makes me sound like a shitty person. Not a shitty person, but it's just a bad person. It's it's one note. Like the whole thing is just too one note, and I know like that note is unfettered joy, but it's an issue for me. Like an incessantly chirpy tone that'll keep me at a distance from the material in the same way that a non-stop sour faced misery will also keep me at a distance. Like I don't like horror films unless they have like humor in them, and so I guess I guess it works both ways. Like I need a bit of balance if if I'm gonna invest in the story, because it doesn't feel real to me if it's just the tone is too relentlessly one note, which I thought this was. Performances are great, like nothing wrong with any of the performances, top to bottom, superb. And here we go, Kana Hanazawa, just the most outstanding lead performance. She is so, I'm going to use the word delightful again, but she's so delightful. There's this little like, there's this kind of puffed up, determined yelling she does every time she gets a new mission. She screws up her face and starts yelling about a new mission, and it's so lovable. That character is so lovable. I mean, it's every segment that rests on her solely is really delightful. Again, I really like the animation. I really like the art style. It was really colourful, really energetic, kind of chaotic when need be. Just so full of character, and I liked the different styles of animation as well. There's definitely like some George Dunning and like Ralph Bashki in there, like Western style animation, kind of mixed with traditional anime, and it works really well, especially during that third act when the big cold hallucination segment is just it's wild. It's some really impressive animation. Like I had a really good time with this. I can't complain about what it is as much as I might complain about what it isn't, if that makes sense. It's like I had a big sloppy grin. Like it's got something for everyone. I think most of the people, I don't know anyone who wouldn't really enjoy this. It's even got vomit-soaked pornography for Tyler. Like there is something here for everyone, but it's just a bit too relentless with the cheerful tone and just kind of bereft of stakes. Like there are no stakes, and I think that just would have got me more invested. I would have been more into it. There wouldn't have the dips that I felt are from that. I think from a lack of investment in the characters' missions. But it's a really fun watch.
I am so confused by what y'all took away from this after what you said about the other movie. That's just me. Because yeah, okay, this is a creative, joyful deconstruction of the wildness of youth. I think it's visually brilliant. The cast is excellent. Yeah, you might say that it has leans more into one tone than others, but at least it has something to say. It tries to get different points across and shares a wealth of different point of views and perspectives. It's never predictable. It's never stale. It never stops moving. Otome is like, if she was, I'd stalk her too if she was real. I mean, that character is about perfect. She's fantastic. Okay, Sempai tends to show up in the wrong places accidentally to look stalkerish. I will totally agree with that. But the different characters are great. From the guy that sets up the festival to don underwear, to the crazy troll on the train who seems to rule everything evil, to the spirit of books wanting to be free and wild. I adored every moment of this. I don't I don't know what Kevin was watching because there's nothing boring or stale in this. I don't get where you come from with that, man. I adored this from the softest dance all the way to finding themselves in a cafe. I adored every moment of this. This was fantastic. Except never throw a punch with your thumb on the inside. You will break your thumb. Just don't do it.
I mean,
that is my only negative note.
Did you even like the theater stuff and the rushing?
Yes. Oh my God, I loved that.
I did not.
That was fantastic. The musical, the spontaneous theater, where the guy is writing his story to connect with somebody he's only seen once on the run. That was wonderful. What the fuck do you mean? How did you not enjoy that? Do you not love joy? Do you not like life and exuberance?
It felt to me like it was on an upside down bell curve, and after the high point, it's just down. So that's why I was just not feeling it then. Sorry.
This is everything fucking Megalopolis wanted to be. It's a celebration of life and creativity without being bullshit and pretentious. I loved it. Y'all broke my heart this evening. I'm just letting you know now in advance.
Well, I agree with your convincing argument about it. All I'm saying is, for me, at the high point, it then dipped from there and didn't get back to that level.
That's fine. Me. The musical was an A+, and the fact that you didn't feel that is just makes me sad. That's all I'm saying.
Just don't you dare think I ever sat there thinking, oh, I wish we were just watching Megalopolis again this week.
I'm just saying. I'm just offering a comparison.
I'm just glad that we forced Francis Ford Coppola into a corner and forced him to commit harikiri.
In my defense, I did say I would like the movie if it wasn't animated, Dave. So
you did, but I mean, you should like it as it is. Your disconnect is weird to me because you will make us watch movies about cartoon characters all the time.
I know, but they're living, breathing.
But they're not. They're more cartoon characters than Otome ever is.
Well, I know what you mean, but it just
no. I'm just saying. So for me, it's The Night Is Short, Walk On, and now y'all are going to disappoint me greatly. So please, let's go for it.
I will be going with The Friends.
Yeah, same. The Friends.
Yeah, maybe a tie.
It's just funny because you talk about one note, and The Friends is the most bargain basement coming of age film we have seen.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair,
we have seen that like a billion times. It does nothing new or unique or interesting.
Like a TikToker, but both films this week were very much vibes films. It's they really nail, I think, both of them what they're going for. But for a big night out like that's in The Night Is Long, Walk On Girl, there's always a point in that kind of big night out where you have a high point and then you're on the come down after that.
That's right. So, everybody's got it sick, except Otome. I mean, that happens. Yeah.
Kevin's a TikToker now. He's got all that fucking riz.
Yeah.
No cap, bro. Do you have the cauliflower haircut too, Kevin? Please do. Please have it. Where like looks like broccoli.
So I mean, Craig didn't say, but we know, so it's okay.
No, he said.
Yeah, he said I didn't hear him. I'm sorry.
I did.
I suppressed it because y'all are wrong. Like, I'd never say you're wrong normally, but this time, y'all crazy. Kevin and Craig, Tyler and Craig, I don't know what's wrong with me.
Tyler and Kevin.
Tyler and Kevin.
Tyler and Kevin, yeah. This is why I stopped. I knew one was wrong still. I need to sleep, okay? I'm not sure where I am right now. Tyler and Kevin are bringing new things, and Kevin has a special pick, right?
Yes. That will cheer you up, Dave.
Ooh.
What are you making us watch next week, Tyler?
I had something planned, but Kevin bringing up Andrea Arnold and him still not seeing a movie featuring Riley Keough playing white trash in a rebel flag bikini.
God, didn't we cover? We covered that. It was like episode 3.
We did not cover it, Dave. We did not. We did not.
Don't blame me for this, Dave.
We're watching yet another movie from my top 100, American Honey, baby. All 3 hours of it.
Oh, I fucking hate you, Kevin.
this is not
the night of letting Dave down.
Well, I'm going to let both of you down because my pick for next week is the much shorter than American Honey, Tammy and the T-Rex.
Oh, Jesus.
Which cut? Because they're two wildly different.
I know, and I own the Blu-ray, so I mean, go for whichever you want, though.
I'm going with the gore
I've never
cut.
seen it.
No, you can't do that. You gotta pick one, man, because then one of us will watch a different movie and have a totally different experience.
There's no good
cuts. Gore
movie,
cuts.
Yeah, we'll go for gore cut. Gotta go for the gore cut.
I mean, it's still not good. Tyler's still gonna cry, but it's how much will he cry?
There's no good cuts of that movie, Kevin. Not a single one. So.
And the special is films featuring Tatsuya Nakai, right?
Yes.
Nakai, yeah.
Goats.
So I've gone for 1989's Return from the River Kwai.
Oh. Yeah.
Because it just might be wild card, baby. Wild card.
In England, somebody from the UK picking a River Kwai film is the least wild card thing in the universe. The fuck are you talking about? If I was to like sit down and look at his whole I would stop immediately and be like, "Oh, that's Kevin's pick."
Kevin's throwing himself on the detonator. Attached to my Japanuary special. Son of a
Tyler,
bitch.
give
That
him
is
the
a Japanese
business.
film.
Give him the business, Tyler. Give him the business.
We're on Instagram, Raiders_of_the_podcast. We're on Facebook, where I sometimes remember to post stuff on Wednesday, sometimes Thursday, sometimes Friday, maybe no day at all, like this week. We have a YouTube channel where you can like, subscribe, and comment on Kevin's awesome videos weekly. We have a Discord where I post girthy cock pics daily. I don't, but I don't know how to use Discord.
Some of them are even Tyler's.
I don't know how to use Discord, so.
But he will.
And if you can look, if you can put our names above each cock and get them right, you win a prize. You can name them.
We have a Blue Sky where I think you can also post girthy cock pics, which I might too, but I don't have a Blue Sky either. So maybe one day. And you can always email us at raidersofthepodcast@gmail.com.
Ooh.
As always, thanks for listening.
Fading.
I think
Fading
this
out.
is
Sundowning.
Thanks for joining me, guys.
Treat for you, Craig. Broken Dave again.
Oh,
Thanks for listening. Thanks for joining me, guys. I'll talk to you next
next week.
Yeah.